All right. 8.3, sum and difference trig formulas. I'm going to apologize right now. Me and Word, we did some weird formatting. Okay. So some spaces where you have a bunch of space, you shouldn't have a bunch of space. And some spaces you have a little bit of space, you should have a bunch of space. And I don't know what happened, but it was realized, copies were made, and you know how fragile, not fragile, how valuable paper is around here. So I didn't reprint. Roll with the punches. Yay. All right, here we go. Sum and difference. First, we're going to talk about here. A big misconception that people have is that when you are adding 2 degrees within trig, you can separate and they're still going to be equal to each other. Okay, that is a huge misconception, and we're going to prove it now. So if you look up here, we have cosine of 30 degrees plus 60 degrees equals cosine of 30 degrees plus cosine of 60 degrees. And we can easily disprove this by using our knowledge of our unit circle. Okay, so starting on the left side, we have 30 plus 60. What is 30 plus 60? 90. So that gives us cosine of 90 degrees. Okay, cosine of 90 degrees means that we should think of what is the x-coordinate at 90? What is the x-coordinate at 90? Oh. 0. Okay, so that's the solution to the left-hand side, 0. Now we're going to do the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, it has us finding the cosine of 30 and the cosine of 60. Okay, the cosine of 30 is what? Square root of 3 over 2. And the cosine of 60 is 1/2. Are these equal to each other? No, this is not a true statement. Okay, when you're adding and subtracting within trig values, there are formulas you have to follow. Okay, it is not as simple as saying I'm going to separate and add them together. That's not what that means. Okay, so here are our sum and difference formulas. Okay, how I remember them is just by the letter. So I remember it as SC plus CS. Okay, the AB is going to stay AB the entire time. So therefore, I only focus on it being SCs and CS and S's. Okay, if I'm subtracting, so sine of A minus B is going to be SC minus CS. Huh? Yeah. What? Sine and cosine? Sine, cosine and sine? Sine and cosine? Cosine and sine? Yeah. Yeah. So it's not good. Nope, it only has sine and cosine. It doesn't separate that way. This is how they separate. Okay, cosine's a little tricky. You got to pay attention. The signs are going to always be the opposite. I always say O for opposite. Okay, so if it's cosine of A plus B, it becomes cosine of A times cosine of B minus. Notice how it's a minus sine of A times sine of B. Okay, again, cosine of A minus B, O for opposite. It becomes cosine of A plus sine of B. So for sine of A plus B, it's going to still be addition. For sine of A minus B, still subtraction. Cosine of A plus B is opposite, O for opposite. You are subtracting. And then cosine of A minus B, O for opposite, we will be adding. Okay, so we're going to go through the 3 steps of condensing and simplifying with this. Okay, so here we are. First step. So step 1 is to identify your A and B. A and B. So for this problem, our A and B are A equals 3x and B equals 2x. Step 1, questions, comments, or concerns? No. Okay. Yes, I'm waiting. A is your first angle, B is your second angle degree, whatever you want to call it. So that has nothing to do with the other side. They're going to be the same. AB, 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 AB. Yep. Okay. Step 2 is to figure out the pattern. What pattern is following in here? So we have a CC plus SS. So looking at our formula, if I have CC plus SS, what is happening?
It's a cosine and it's a negative.
It's cosine A minus B. I meant for this to be blue.
Oh, so it's just kind of like.
Mm-hmm. So 3 is to plug in and simplify. So plugging in. So we have cosine of A. What's our A? 3x. Cosine of, and B is 2x. Simplify. What is 3x minus 2x? So cosine of x is our answer. Those are your 3 steps. How do we feel about this part? We identify A and B, figure out the pattern, plug in and simplify. Okay, all right. So I would like for you to try 3 on your own. No, you got it.
Oh, shoot.
So you're going to try 3 on your own. Give you a couple minutes. Okay, so step 1, identify our A and our B. Our A is 105. Our B is 15. Step 2 is to recognize your pattern. My pattern is SC minus CS, which means that I'm using sine of A minus B. Yes, still with me? Step 3 is to plug in your A and your B. So we have sine of 105 minus 15 equals sine of 90. And sine of 90 simplifies to what? 1. So your answer is 1. So all of that condenses all the way down to 1.
Also, it's not necessary to have that.
Have what? It happens. Sometimes you get simple answers, sometimes you get complex. Okay, now we're going to lead into the example of where Ms. Jones did not leave you enough space. All right, number 4. So on number 4, we're doing a little bit different. So this time they're giving us our value of our sine of our 2 angles. So the only difference here is that we have alpha and theta, but this is still A, this is still B, still A, still B, right? Do we see that? Okay, so here it tells us our restrictions for our A and our B. So it says that your alpha is between 0 and pi over 2. Okay, did I write that backwards? I wrote that right, yeah. 0 and pi over 2, and then we're between pi over 2 and pi. Okay, if I'm between 0, pi over 2, that means I'm in quadrant 1. If I'm pi over 2 and pi, I'm in quadrant 2. Agree? Yeah, okay. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is start with the problem. So our problem that we have is sine of alpha minus theta. If alpha and theta bother you, you can always just change them to A and B. Doesn't really matter. First thing you're going to do is expand it. So first we're going to expand. What does that expand to? Alpha, I think. That's what we're calling it today. Cosine theta. Perfect. Okay. That's step 1 is to expand using our formula. On the front, our formulas tells us sine, cosine, minus cosine, sine, right?
How do you know what that?
Because it said sine of alpha minus theta. Okay. After you expand, you're going to solve for what is missing for you to solve. So missing information. So what is missing in order for us to solve? Well, in the problem, they tell us our sine alpha is 4/5 and our sine theta is 5/13. So I can plug those in, right? So we have 4/15 times cosine theta minus cosine alpha times 5/13. So what's missing? If you say your cosines, you are correct. I didn't. I was trying to highlight and I didn't know the highlighter was red. Okay. Thank you for acknowledging that flaw.
Right, why are they missing?
We don't know them yet. So our missing information is the cosine. We have the sines, yes. We're missing our cosines.
Oh.
Yeah? Still with me? Does it tell us what the value of the cosines are? No, it does not. So step 3 is we have to find the cosine. So we're going to find our cosine. So we need to find cosine alpha and we need to find cosine theta. All right, we gotta go way back into our file cabinet of knowledge. Okay, we have to go back into our file cabinet of knowledge. If I'm given the ratio for my sine and or cosine that is not on the unit circle, how do I find the cosine? It's not inverse. It's like using a point. Okay, we need a bigger refresh. Gotcha. Here we go. Do we remember if we said sine theta equals y over r? Cosine theta equals x over r. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. Does that ring a bell? So if I know one of them, how do I solve for the other? Pythagorean theorem. Yes.
So don't we need the second one?
No, we have our sine theta. Our sine alpha here is 4/5, right? Hey,
Mom, this that sound so much. Who teaches calculus?
Mr. Smith in 224.
Can I give it to you? I've been over 4 classes trying to find it. And I'm about to be fifth available in my room.
Okay,
It's a calculus teacher and it's in my room.
Yeah.
It's
You're welcome.
okay, too.
so my sine theta, so in this case, sine is 4/5. So I have my y and I have my r, so I need to solve for my x. Yes? Are you with me?
No, I'm lost.
Okay. No. This sine theta equals y over r. This is your y over your r. So y is,
4.
r is, can I solve for x? Yes. Yeah? So we're gonna solve for x. So we have x squared plus, what was it? 4 squared plus even equals 5 squared. So when this happens, what does x equal? 3, because it's 25 minus 16, and 25 minus 16 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So x equals 3
And then we're not done there.
at all. No,
Yeah, keep going.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. So we have cosine of alpha equals 3/5, because cosine is x over r. Now, our alpha, it's in quadrant 1, so everything is what? Positive. Are we good? So we found our cosine. Now we have to find our cosine alpha. Now we're gonna do the same thing for cosine theta. So looking at sine theta here is y over r. So our y is, and our r is, can we solve for our x? Yes. So we have x squared plus 5 squared equals 13 squared. What is 13 squared? 169. What's 169 minus 25? And what is the square root of 144? 12. So our x equals 12. So our cosine of theta equals 12 over 13. However, it's going to be negative. Why is it negative? Because it's in quadrant 2. Yes, alpha here, and theta is in quadrant 2. Did I find my missing cosine, alpha, and theta? Yes, so this final step is to plug in and simplify. So step 4, plug in.
Doesn't it matter what's negative out of 12 and 13?
No, it does not. So we have 4/5. 4/5 times, where are we at? Times negative 12/13 is cosine theta minus cosine alpha, which is 3/5 times 5/13. So we found our missing, we plugged it in, and now we're gonna simplify. So we get negative 48 over 65 minus 15 over 65. 4 times negative 12 is negative 48. 5 times 13 is 65. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 13 is 65. If you owe me $48 and you're like, hey, let me borrow another 15, how much do you owe me now?
Too much.
Negative 63 over 65. Huh? Was it bad?
So we did all of that for that one fraction.
To get negative 63 over 65. Oh, because we gotta do cosine on the other side.
Oh.
I told y'all I messed up on formatting of your notes. No one wants to listen to me when I tell y'all my flaws. So on this side, we're finding, but we don't have to do the middle because we already know everything. You just gotta plug in. So cosine, we already found everything.
Oh, we have to do all that
No, we've already found everything. The cosine of alpha minus theta. So this expands to what? Cosine alpha times cosine theta plus sine alpha cosine theta. Remember, O means opposite. Okay? So step 2 is to figure out what you have missing. Do we have anything missing or do we have knowledge of everything? No missing. And so therefore we already have all of our values. So just to write them out, what are our values? Our sine of alpha equals 4/5. Our cosine of alpha equals 3/5. Our sine of theta equals 5/13. And our cosine of theta equals negative 12/13. Why is it what?
Oh, yeah, it should be.
Oh, I don't know why I did that. Thank you.
So why do we have to do theta and alpha?
Because it's double angle. It's the adding of the angle. Not double angle, it's the adding of 2 angles. All right, and then the last thing is to plug everything in.
Oh, you messed up there this way.
Yeah, sine, yeah. So we plug everything in. So cosine and cosine. So we have 3/5 times negative 12/13 plus sines 4/5 times 5/13. 3 times negative 12 is all over 65 plus 4 times 5 is 20 all over 65. And that gives us negative 16 over 65.
All right, we done now.
We did. We're done. We're done for rolling this problem.
No, for notes today.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Oh.
All right. Talk to me.
My brain is fried.
Huh? You like it better than the puzzles? Okay, than the proofs? Okay. Better than proofs, got it. I'll take the word like out. Okay. Any questions on any parts of the steps? Yes, 2 and 3 are the easier ones. It builds up from there, sir. We can't just keep doing 2 and 3. Because it builds from there. Yes, yes. Don't be afraid. All right. 5. So 5, it wants us to find sine of pi over 3 plus x. So we're following the same steps that we just did. But we only have to do it once, okay? Here we go. So we're looking for, this is our A, this is our B. Do we see that? Yeah. So, huh? No, we can't. I had to think about what you said. So the first thing we're gonna do is expand. What does this expand to? What does sine pi over 3 plus x expand to? If you said sine of pi over 3 times cosine of x plus cosine of pi over 3 times sine of x, you are absolutely correct. Huh? Do we understand why that expanded? Following the formula?
The formula
From the front, what is the sine of a plus b? The sine of a plus b gives us this.
we have to expand it.
That's step 1. If you're given this, you're expanding. If you're given the expansion, then you're condensing. Okay, like 2 and 3, we condensed, right? Because we were given the expansion already. Okay, step 2 is to identify what is missing. What do we have missing? Cosine x and sine x. Well, sine x, they gave it to us. What is sine x? Equals -2 over 3. Okay, it also tells us that x is between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, but if sine is negative, then this is in what quadrant? 3. Okay, so we know that the angle has to be in quadrant 3. In quadrant 3, what are the signs for cosine and sine? They are both going to be negative, okay? How do we find our cosine? So we identify, we need to know our cosine x equals what? How do we find it? Huh? Pythagorean theorem. So we're going to find cosine x using Pythagorean theorem. So we have x squared plus y squared. Well, not y. We know what our y is. It's 2. 2 squared equals 3 squared. So let's talk it out. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 2 squared? 4. What is 9 minus 4? 5. And then we're going to take the square root of 5, which is just square root of 5. We're about to when we identify cosine. So therefore, cosine of x equals, and like Daniel said, it has to be a negative square root of 5 because it's in what quadrant? 3. And our radius was 3. So do we have everything to plug in now? Yes, so now we plug in. So plugging everything in, our sine of pi over 3. So sine of pi over 3, I can simplify as I do it, right? What is the sine of pi over 3? Think of your unit circle, think real hard. 60. And what is the y at 60? It's there.
Oh, one, no, square root.
There we go. Square root of 3 over 2. What is cosine of x? What do we solve? Negative square root of 5 over 3. And we have plus. What is the cosine of pi over 3? So going back to 60, what is the x value at 60 on our unit circle? 1/2. Times sine x, and what was sine x given to us? So I clean all this up. 3 times 5 is 8. 15, I said 8, girl. What are you doing? And we get 6 plus negative 2 over 6. And you just clean this up. So we end up with negative 2 minus the square root of 15 all over 6. You can't do any further condensing. That is your exact answer.
This
We
felt
will
like a
finish
book.
tomorrow.
It felt like a book.
What?